Hi.
guys. So
Hi. I'm streaming right now.
okay, TOCP. I can't do TOCP in 10 minutes or 20 minutes. Okay, is that it? You're there, I guess. There's someone right here. Wait, what is going on, Jeff? Well, I see that you ate so much. TOI. Yeah, TOI.
I'm now streaming. Because yes. Top chat.
Yeah, but can others see what
I
you're doing?
literally stopped the TOTC because if I fail Kelly or Kata, it's going to take me like 10 minutes to get back up. Okay, when I enter TOF, you can stop the timer again. Cows. That's not an SC. It does have to be in the SCs? What do you mean? How difficult is an SC and more difficulty? It's like tier 6, 7. But like they're really low. Oh god, nice. The timer? Cause like yeah, I need to load in zone 4 because I'm below like 1 FPS right now. Oh, okay. I feel like TOIF will take us less time if we both will get
Here we go.
The 4H versus R&D pretty bad. Okay, come to TOIF. What? I'm on TOIF, so you can go. I'll wait for you, and then you can start the timer. Oh yeah, I did a bounce. That was so satisfying.
Or try grind. Time to grind TOE.
I tried out Floyd's new tower, like difficulty. It is pretty cool. Okay, go to the tower. I think like Floyd was going fun again. Yeah, I'm at the tower. Oh, okay. I'm starting the timer. 3, 2. Wait, let me restart my run. Because I moved 1 pixel. That's illegal. 3. Okay. Test this. Wait, so can you read my comment? Yep, sure, I will read your comment, Tom. If I can find it. Wait, so how can you say that you run into USM was so unlegit? I tried, like, to skip.
Dude.
I kind of, like, escaped a bunch of GBJs. It was fairly legit, because I did click back into A-side after failing 10B, 9B, or 8B, and I didn't fail those. Like, and I was doing that one legit, kinda, B-side, so I just, like, reset, and I failed 8B and 9B.
What the dog doing?
So it turns out you can basically escape 9B and 8B. I didn't realize that until after I beat USM. Okay. Well, I want to reset my run. So basically, like, I thought I would fail
No,
9B,
I'm not
8B,
clicking that.
like, every cycle. Well, I did call it
Now, let's grind on TOE.
Yeah. Escaping TBJ, I did get really lucky because I could have died multiple times.
Or grind, or just go through.
Like, I spent like a whole hour in the 2B TBJ not realizing I can like lag I jump out. And if I would have given
What the dog doing? Get a dog.
Like if you guys want to play about when you like being on the way, you can
Should be. Back to Oh, thank God I don't have the house for buzzer. All my first OBS, like my first OBS video.
What the heck? I just bounced off a wall. How does that make sense? Like, I go into climbing animation and just a tilt to the moon. It's kind of weird. I think it's like
Just don't mind me why I'm doing 2IE because I'm done SLC, so I might be used to trust gameplay, even though I'm already. Because I know very much dancing. No! What was that? I suck! Ah! Nobody watches. There's none watching. Like, nobody ever watches. The chat. And 4.2 music script is broken. I don't know why is it broken, but okay. So I have to stare at that stupid lag spikes. Lag for my own OBS recording. No, I have a decent laptop. A gaming laptop. Yeah, of course it's doing more CPU. Like, why? It's the drop. Looking at rotating the is actually final jtoh. Nope. Like, of course, I am very bad at the top. Streaming business. Do you even know? Maybe like. How to make a dog fancy fight. Make that's it's nice. 9 yet. No! I know I'm not gonna have damn it. Now I have to delete the text of the discard. Remove that. There we go. And now let's go to the other. Nobody ever watches my stream. Literally nobody. Video? Video. History of jtoh, Jesus. Video? Video. History of jtoh, Jesus. Epic. Video? Video. Oh, history of jtoh, Jesus. No. Delay. Moment. Epic. Video. Oh my god. Video. It's history of jtoh, Jesus. Oh my. Yes. Yes. Delay. Delay. Moment. It's a delay. Video. Oh my god. Video. Oh no. It's history of jtoh. Oh my. I have to go.
This dimension is the third dimension, which isn't the fourth dimension. Therefore, the fourth dimension is not the third dimension, meaning that it's not possible. Unless you're not in the third dimension. Epic laser explaining. I have no idea what I'm on about. What? Why? Are you joking? No, don't know me.
Should we just move on to tier
yeah, we should. Okay, no, I'll do this like one speedrun attempt. Let's go. I'm so good. Alright. Yeah, next time I'm doing this, I'm not doing TOIF. Or either I'm doing TOIF first, or I'm just like not doing it. I'm speedrunning, so gamer.
Yes, not you.
That was so stupid. I should like really flick off.
Crimsonite is here?
I don't know, people always say he's here.
Crimsonite?
No way, Crimsonite is here. Yo, I'm actually speedrunning now, what the heck?
Even though I have a local mic.
Okay, I doubt I can beat this in time. I have like 20 minutes and hopefully I can do jtoh, because if I only beat one SC, that is just gonna prove I suck.
Yeah.
I mean, I could try different SCs next time, like Tokat, Top Bench Romo, TBK, those are pretty short. But like, the shorter an SC is, the harder it is. But the the easier the SC is, the longer it is. So it takes more time. I mean, like, the gameplay wise. Okay, I'm done. Nope.
Okay, I'm
jtoh time. jtoh time. Why is it string potato quality? Because my PC is potato.
Okay.
Okay, I paused the timer.
There you go. Game. Game. We run. We run. We walk. Our moves. Just. Chill your deeper. We will draw. Boom. Explodes. couple of money. Like 2,000 money. Spot him for that. It's literally nobody ever chats. Touch stuff. That was a boost. Oh, holy shit. Champion. My second score. Second score. That was the worst. Oh, it's hard though. Also the hardest. And now we're done. Yes. Yeah. Stream has been going nearly now. Blitz, I guess, or I'm getting bored of. Don't even know what to do.
2013 was a year of console launches. We welcomed platforms like the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and started to let the previous year's Wii U gather a fine layer of dust that would stay there forever. But there was one other console that developed quite a lot of buzz that year. It's around here somewhere. One sec. Aha! The Ouya! This little guy promised some pretty great things, but could the ideas behind a console the size of a Rubik's Cube change the landscape of video games? Ooh, yeah. No. This unassuming brushed metal box might not seem like much, but when mainstream media got word of its potential existence, woo! It was a whirlwind of excitement. This sucker was to be a new kind of gaming console, a wake-up call for video games. And of course, who could possibly forget a destroyer of Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo? This? Forbes thought this was the harbinger of doom for the big three? Well, it certainly might be a four-letter word for the apocalypse, but not for the companies Forbes had in mind. Let's see where all this began with founder Julie Ehrman and Ouya's 2012 reveal pitch video.
I love video games, but more and more people are moving away from the television.
False! There were a number of systems still being sold that same year that became some of the best-selling video game consoles of all time. But do go on.
There's a lot of focus today on the mobile and web platform. It's easier to develop games for those platforms than the television.
True, mobile phone gaming was on the rise, and it was easier and cheaper for developers to make and sell games for phones. But what does that have to do with the Ouya?
Ouya is a new game console for the television that's built on Android, open source technology. It's an inexpensive game console for gamers. All the games are free to try. There's a lot of hurdles for developers to get games onto the television. Developing is extremely expensive. I love the television, and I want those games on the television.
Ah, I get it. It's a smartphone in a box that makes it cheaper for game developers to get their games on a
television.
While Julie clearly has a mean case of televigitis, what I'm hearing here doesn't sound half bad. A cheap console loaded with cheaper, smaller games that also have free trials. That could be fun, right? Oh, and unlike smartphones at the time, you could play it all on the television. They seem to think the TV is crucial in all of this, but was it the most essential element of a game console? They didn't think so.
The most important part of this to us is the controller.
We really focus a lot on what gamers are looking for. Precise controls, tactility, right sizing.
This is going to be all kinds of hilarious in a few minutes, but before we even talk about their controller, and we will, I think we need to hear just what kind of video games their video game console is actually getting.
We'll have all the game genres you love. Shooters, platformers, sports, and RPGs.
Yep, that's all of them.
We'll have games from major game publishers and indies too. We'll have a full store of games, all free to play. Minecraft is going to be on it.
Wow, major publishers on top of the indie community were going to back this thing, and all these games are going to have free demos? I mean, no other console did all of this while making the games free to try. Folks, that's kind of a big deal. But Ouya's initial software showcase didn't exactly have the wow factor of an aspiring new console. I mean, sure, it had Minecraft, but that was already available on PCs and phones, actually, and the Xbox 360, and it also had a free trial, so it doesn't really contribute much. So, is there anything else you can actually do with this thing?
It's open for hackers that want to tweak the box and make it their own. This is a big undertaking. Effectively, we're trying to disrupt an established industry.
Disrupt the establishment, hack the hardware, make it your own, man. I'm doing my part. His name is Oogie, and he kickstarts my heart, man.
Kickstarter is a phenomenal place where early ideas can get supported by those people that are going to want to use it. And this product will not happen without their support. And when we raise this money, it means that we have arrived, that there is a need for an open game console, and that there is support from gamers and developers alike.
Let's stop the video there. Yeah, the Ouya was a crowd-funded Kickstarter campaign, and we could poke holes in it all day long, but this video worked. The Ouya was part of a wave of campaigns in 2012 that propelled Kickstarter's popularity immensely. That same year, we saw successful Kickstarters from Double Fine, In Exile, Oculus VR, and Cloud Imperium Games. Boy, it's great to be living nearly a decade later and have all those things I just mentioned be long since finished and entirely playable.
My name is Chris Roberts, and I would like to build a universe with you.
But as for Ouya, it raised $8.5 million, nearly 9 times their original project goal. Press coverage of this underdog game machine kept the support rolling on in. Yes, cash was piling up. Yes, enthusiasm for the little indie box that could was high. But the console and its pitch had its fair share of skeptics too. And seriously, who could blame them? At $99, the console price point was head-scratchingly low. But what did that cost get you? Well, one of those
most important part
controllers and one brand spanking new Ouya console. The system was loaded with smartphone specs, a far cry from the competition on the market at the time, because let's not forget, it launched the same year as the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Ouya was so cheap that it was closer to the cost of a PlayStation 4 controller than a PlayStation 4 console. That was pretty incredible. It really was a budget console for budget gamers and budget-oriented developers. It sounds crazy, but this could actually work out and become a home run. All the Ouya team had to do was line up some great games, ship those consoles, and not mess up their PR.
Does everybody know what the Ouya console is? Can I get a show of hands? Do you know? Okay. Who's a backer? Really? Just these two people here, 3?
Come on.
Almost as many backers as there are letters in the console name.
It's not my lunch. I don't know.
Have
I'm sure the people that raise their hands have seen these.
You packed your early prototype console in a child's paper lunch bag? You don't pack extremely rare and important tech in a freaking paper bag. What if you dropped it? Are you kidding me?
When you ask the question about what makes it challenging, like, there is nothing special about this board. Nothing. Like, nothing.
I think she's saying the quiet part loud and the loud part quiet.
Oh, you didn't answer the launch. How many launch titles?
I don't know.
What?
How many launch titles?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know.
Look, I'm not the CEO of Nintendo, but even I can tell you what launched with most of their systems. How do you not know what is launching with your totally off-the-shelf, unspecial sandwich sack console?
Our controller has a touchpad. You're not going to find that somewhere else. And the reality is...
The new PlayStation 4 controller has a touchpad.
It's true. They could build it for that.
So,
you don't think your console's special.
There is nothing special about this board.
You don't know what's launching with it.
I don't know.
You're completely unaware of your competition.
the new PlayStation 4 controller has a touchpad.
It's true.
Oh, and you store your prototype console next to your Dunkaroos. Okay. That didn't go so smoothly. But a few trip-ups at one live Q&A are by no means the end of the world. The console's still releasing on time, after all. Off-the-shelf components.
There is nothing special about this.
Delayed 3 weeks. Okay, I'll give you another mulligan, Ouya. Delays do happen. Can you at least professionally promote your product at a trade show?
Ouya Park is open every single day of E3 from 9 to 7. We have happy hour from 4 to 7 with free beer and K-Rock DJing live, so come on down.
Beer? What about the games?
So come on down. And play great games.
Can they professionally promote their product, period? Was that an axe? We are really not seeing the most competent build-up to the launch of the Ouya. But on June 25th, 2013, the console finally hit its pushed-back retail launch. Good news. That is, unless you backed the freaking Kickstarter. Financial supporters of the original Ouya campaign, you know, the people that brought the console to life with their own hard-earned money, were supposed to be the first to receive the final product. It was guaranteed. Unfortunately, many original backers were left waiting while non-backers could just stroll into a retail shop and snap one up. Ouya's die-hard supporters were now very angry, but the developers were okay, right? Well, over on the development side, the Ouya team announced the Free the Games Fund, their way of giving back to the indie dev community, and possibly securing some tasty Ouya exclusives. Here's how it works. Basically, a developer entered their game and promised Ouya 6 months exclusivity on their platform. And if they could raise more than $50,000 on Kickstarter, this fund would match that amount in support of up to $250,000. The participants that raised the most would even get a prize of an additional $100,000. Great. No, that's good. Shouldn't be hard for humble-sized developers to take on a campaign and drum up 50,000 magical dollars. It's not like Ouya was pitched as a console tailored for developers with monetary constraints to have a place to release their dream projects that wasn't price-gated like Ouya's big boy competitors.
That's what Ouya's going to bring back to gaming. You're not limited by how much money you have in the bank or how many people you work with.
Could this ingenious scheme to get exclusive games possibly go wrong? Oh yeah! Free the Games Fund entrants Elementary My Dear Homes, The Eye of Draconis, and Gridiron Thunder were accused of having unsavory donation activity. This ranged from suspicious backers to developers freely admitting that they were gaming the system. Gridiron Thunder alone accumulated $171,000 from only 183 backers. After an empty-feeling Ouya blog response and retooling aspects of the Free the Games Fund,
sometimes you have to put a project out there to get that feedback to know how to make it better.
Many creators were less than impressed with Ouya. The company no longer came off as being truly in support of small creative teams. But surely they were still pro-consumer. That crisp, newly distributed Ouya and its loyal adopters were the company's #1 main focus.
It's such a nice feeling knowing what you want to be when you grow up. I want to be a roof window. It's also good to know that
You're kidding me. 4 months after the Ouya hit retail, the company publicly announced that they were already planning a revamped controller and second iteration of their console? They actually hope to ship an Ouya 2.0 in 2014. Good news! That didn't happen, because they probably didn't have the money to launch another console so quickly. Bad news. The company was about to trash a promise they made to their backers that helped them raise all that money in the first place.
It's an inexpensive game console for gamers. All the games are free to try. One of the things that Ouya is doing is bringing the best model of games today to the television. So we believe that every single game you should try before you buy.
When the Ouya Discover storefront first launched, all titles were required to be free to try. That is, they had to have some kind of free demo, which sure does sound nice, right? This seemed like a pro-consumer approach. But bam! In 2014, free demos no longer required. In an official blog post, the canceling of free to try was apparently in support of developers. Now sure, that does sound like a possibility, but I don't think it's true. What I think was actually going on was something that was far more of a serious problem to Ouya. According to CEO Julie Ehrman, in Ouya's very first month on the market with the free to try model, 73% of Ouya owners had not purchased a single title on the storefront. 73%! That means that for roughly every 4 people that purchased an Ouya, only 1 actually bothered to buy a game. Yikes. So why weren't people buying games for this cube? Could it be that 3/4 of Ouya users were satiated with game demos alone? Ouya, what happened? Your hardware was delivered. You nailed your price point. Your PR was a nightmare. But hey, selling games? That was supposed to be the easy part. There's gotta be more to this. And I guess there's only one way to get the whole picture. It's time that we went hands-on with the Ouya. Before we poke this tiny console to life, let's just take a look at this bad boy.
There is nothing special about this board. Nothing.
Julie, I'd go one step further and say that there is nothing special about this box at all. Honestly, it didn't even make a great doorstop. Compared to its contemporaries, it's much smaller because it really is just tiny cell phone parts in an itty-bitty case. You're gonna set this thing up and likely rarely touch it again. But the controller it comes with? Oh boy! I've got concerns.
The most important part of this to us is the controller.
See, you say that, but no, you clearly didn't care. This is one of the worst official bundled console controllers I've ever used. Brand new, straight out of the box, the right shoulder button was broken. It doesn't click in the way the left shoulder button does. The home button is in the lower center of the controller's face where you can accidentally hit it when you use your right thumbstick. The D-pad, mushy. The face buttons, stiff. And worst of all, if you press too hard, they can get jammed beneath the controller's faceplate. Oh, and the faceplates? They're attached with a handful of magnets. Removing and replacing them not only feels cumbersome, but it makes the build feel cheap. Instead of putting a single battery compartment on the back, like an Xbox One or 360 controller, they are in 2 compartments underneath the faceplates that makes the controller feel far less structurally sound, leading to a very loose feeling build overall, which is probably why they skipped out on putting rumble in the controller, because if they did, it would probably shake itself apart. The most frustratingly confusing design choice, though, not including a start or select button. This should have been standard, folks, and it's a huge misstep. If developers wanted to port their games over from another platform that did have start or select, or if gamers wanted to emulate older games, they'd likely need to do some serious button reconfiguration. Moving on, let's go ahead and start the device. The menu layout is pretty simple and functional. Not surprising, as at its core, it really is just an Android device. In fact, there are tons of options and visuals here that look just like what you would get in a basic Android phone. Instead of making a new, finely tailored OS from the ground up, like what Sony or Nintendo would have done, Ouya saved big bucks by sticking with thinly altered smartphone software. Typically, this would be a bad move, but in this case, it's the only thing they didn't f*** up. Ouya team made some specialized options, like the Make section for people to create games. But the majority of consumers out there wanted to play games, not make them. So let's see what this little box of dreams can actually do. That brings us to Discover, the Ouya storefront. You've got your new games and your best rated, of which several seem to be emulators for other systems. Probably one of the reasons why 3/4 of Ouya customers weren't buying games. They were emulating them. But don't get us wrong, Ouya did have lots of real standalone titles on its storefront, ones you could buy. So let's crack the old knuckles and warm up our official Ouya controller and dive in. This is gonna be fun. You'd probably think we'd start immediately listing off a bunch of terrible games. Well, no, we're not gonna do that. There are some legitimately fantastic games either officially ported to or exclusively released to the console. Games like Final Fantasy III, The Bard's Tale, and Oddworld Stranger's Wrath. Some titles are ported over well enough, but others are Oddworld Stranger's Wrath. This game runs worse than its original Xbox release. Shocking, seeing as how the Xbox version came out the better part of a decade before the Ouya version. There are plenty of games with varying degrees of quality. Some ports are by teams obviously not focused on properly supporting this platform. Many games are just Android versions that feel like they hastily shoved in support for the Ouya controller, which again, wasn't so hot. But did that mean that Ouya was devoid of decent original games? No, not at all. In fact, this is, in my opinion, the crown jewel of the system, Towerfall. This game perfectly encapsulated what creative titles on the Ouya could be. A simple, non-taxing concept expertly achieved. A well-controlling platformer deathmatch game that could bring together friends for hours on end. It utilized solid combat mechanics with a smart use of physics and has gone on to inspire games with similar designs to this day. It's no surprise that Towerfall is Ouya's absolute bestseller. It is Ouya's killer app. So, how did it perform commercially? 7,000 copies. Towerfall's first huge year in the Ouya's ecosystem, and it sold 7,000 copies. That's the console's best-selling game, people. But surely it's not the platform's fault. Towerfall obviously didn't perform better outside of the Ouya space, right? Oh wait, it did. When freed from niche micro-console exclusivity, iterations and ports of Towerfall eclipsed its sales with Ouya immensely. Ouya's most successful, replayable, and critically acclaimed game was a disaster. Those quick port-pushing companies we mentioned earlier? Yeah, they likely didn't make a nickel, but those quick ports, they weren't even the worst experiences released on the system. Oh, that's right. You don't even know what we're about to get into, folks. I think it's about time we explore some of the most questionable and bizarre content we've ever shown on this channel.
They're gonna play by my rules now.
There was a game. It's called Panic.
This year, the winner's gonna take home $50,000.
This is global warming, and you race about all your life in vehicles.
Unbelievable.
Sounds amazing. Tell us all about it.
What are you still doing here?
Hvad glæder du dig til på den anden side? Spagopholdet med veninderne. Utflykterna med barnen. De svenske gæster. De danska gästerna. Shoppingturene. Vi fejrer alt det, som binder os sammen. Kør en tur, få en tur med Bropas. Læs mere på øresundsbron.com.
But is a game where a cloud throws objects at your butt. What kinds of objects? Well, regular things, like teddies, nut, God's dish, and sword. If you drop these things, you lose respect. And we all know how every butt wants mad respect. You must get the items in the bin on the right or in the jug thing on the left. How does butt accomplish this? Butt has no hands, butt has no legs. Butt has only butt. Fart butt. Fart. Now before you think this game gets too juvenile, know that when you fart enough Dash or Roger Nim rockets into those side bins, you will unlock a single scene infographic. These showcase prominent historical figures: founding father Benjamin Franklin, German philosopher Immanuel Kant. Feels like they're trying to stuff some educational content where the sun don't shine. But this ain't the only edutainment title on the console. Esperanto Animals. Ever want to point at an animal and scream its name in the world's most widely spoken international auxiliary language?
Aglo. Aglo.
How about an egg?
Ovo. Ovo. Ovo.
Well, have we got the game for you?
Kato. 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 Kato.
Congratulations! You can now say cat in a language that 0.001% of the population of Earth understands. Next game. Plain Banana Tree. This is a game about planting banana trees on a desert island. You can choose to either eat your yum bananas or stab them right into the flesh of the earth. Hey look! More banana trees! And more bananas. This is the entire game. Do you know how to say banana in Esperanto? Repeat after me. Banano.
Banana. 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 Banana.
Good job. For games, they'd likely need to do some serious button reconfiguration. Moving on, let's go ahead and start the device. Reasons why 3/4 of Ouya customers weren't buying games. They were emulating them. But don't get us wrong, Ouya did have lots of real standalone titles on its storefront, ones you could buy. So let's crack the old knuckles and warm up our official Ouya controller and dive in. This is gonna be fun. You'd probably think we'd start immediately listing off a bunch of terrible games. Well, no, we're not gonna do that. There are some legitimately fantastic games either officially ported to or exclusively released to the console. Games like Final Fantasy III, The Bard's Tale, and Oddworld Stranger's Wrath. Some titles are ported over well enough, but others are Oddworld Stranger's Wrath. This game runs worse than its original Xbox release. Shocking, seeing as how the Xbox version came out the better part of a decade before the Ouya version. There are plenty of games with varying degrees of quality. Some ports are by teams obviously not focused on properly supporting this platform. Many games are just Android versions that feel like they hastily shoved in support for the Ouya controller, which again, wasn't so hot. But did that mean that Ouya was devoid of decent original games? No, not at all. In fact, this is, in my opinion, the crown jewel of the system, Towerfall. This game perfectly encapsulated what creative titles on the Ouya could be. A simple, non-taxing concept expertly achieved. A well-controlling platformer deathmatch game that could bring together friends for hours on end. It utilized solid combat mechanics with a smart use of physics and has gone on to inspire games with similar designs to this day. It's no surprise that Towerfall is Ouya's absolute bestseller. It is Ouya's killer app. So, how did it perform commercially? 7,000 copies. Towerfall's first huge year in the Ouya's ecosystem, and it sold 7,000 copies. That's the console's best-selling game, people. But surely it's not the platform's fault. Towerfall obviously didn't perform better outside of the Ouya space, right? Oh wait, it did. When freed from niche micro-console exclusivity, iterations and ports of Towerfall eclipsed its sales with Ouya immensely. Ouya's most successful, replayable, and critically acclaimed game was a disaster. Those quick port-pushing companies we mentioned earlier? Yeah, they likely didn't make a nickel, but those quick ports, they weren't even the worst experiences released on the system. Oh, that's right. You don't even know what we're about to get into, folks. I think it's about time we explore some of the most questionable and bizarre content we've ever shown on this channel. Butt. Butt is a game where a cloud throws objects at your butt. What kinds of objects? Well, regular things, like teddies, nut, God's dish, and sword. If you drop these things, you lose respect. And we all know how every butt wants mad respect. You must get the items in the bin on the right or in the jug thing on the left. How does butt accomplish this? Butt has no hands, butt has no legs. Butt has only butt. Fart butt. Fart. Now before you think this game gets too juvenile, know that when you fart enough Dash or Roger Nim rockets into those side bins, you will unlock a single scene infographic. These showcase prominent historical figures. Founding father Benjamin Franklin, German philosopher Immanuel Kant. Feels like they're trying to stuff some educational content where the sun don't shine. But this ain't the only edutainment title on the console. Esperanto, animals. Ever want to point at an animal and scream its name in the world's most widely spoken international auxiliary language?
Aglo. Aglo.
How about an egg?
Ovo. Ovo. Ovo.
Well, have we got the game for you?
Kato. 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 Kato.
Congratulations! You can now say cat in a language that 0.001% of the population of Earth understands. Next game. Blame Banana Tree. This is a game about planting banana trees on a desert island. You can choose to either eat your yum bananas or stab them right into the flesh of the earth. Hey look! More banana trees! And more bananas! This is the entire game. Do you know how to say banana in Esperanto? Repeat after me. Banano.
Banana. 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 Banana.
Good job! We've officially wasted less of your time than Blame Banana Tree wasted of ours.
Coconut Hut! It's you versus Amy in the ultimate blood sport. Coconut Collection! Collect those nutters as fast as you can. Where do you put them? Coconut Hut! Your character has a big gnarly head and constantly looks like he should be losing his balance and toppling over like the top-heavy flipper-footed creature he is. Coconut Hut. An invisible wall in the water keeps you from swimming away and drowning yourself to escape this punishment. Coconut Hut. 3 meters of rainstorm. Coconut Hut.
At Telrix. For anyone worried that Ouya doesn't have everyone's favorite gold trinket collecting spinny hedgehog, we say this. Ouya has Sonic CD. But if you didn't get that, worry not, sharp rodent aficionados, a Telrix is here. It's all the fun and flair of a broken Atari Jaguar tech demo from 1993. You play as a Telrix, a sea urchin-shaped hedgehog with the tip of a penis for a nose. You've got to race against the clock to collect all the hidden golden gems and thwart the wicked Robo-Badgers. There's gravity-defying jumps, strawberries, a song that plays, and textured cubes. What more could you need? What's that? A game that controls well, and some kind of explanation as to how the stupid gravity system works? And better level designs? Look, it can't give you any of that. But at least it's better than Sonic Forces. Sonic fans, I wait your comments down below. Just rain.
Is a new game console for the television. It's an inexpensive game console for gamers. We'll have all the game genres you love.
It's just rain. Don't eat soap. Soap is bad for you to eat. It is good for washing your hands, but very bad for you to put in your mouth. Good advice! This may seem like a game in which you press a button to keep soap from entering Bob the hamster's mouth, but no, it's secretly more. When Bob ingests the pesky bar, the game evolves into a Bubble Bobble clone, complete with popping trapped enemies and picking up fallen foodstuffs. Hey, it's Sloth's head from the Goonies. Sometimes Bob can stand on thin air. The game can barely keep up if you spam your bubble shot. It's like it's breaking. I want this game scrubbed from my memory. Game Catcher, a game about collecting games in a video game store. This is a very accurate depiction of the sights and smells at your local GameStop. There's also an 80s mode. The gameplay is tweaked slightly to embody an 80s arcade shooter. Poorly. Speaking of the 80s strike back. Now this is a basic Defender clone, but with minor imagery from the 80s. We pilot an A-Wing from Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back. Get it? Strikes Back? Star Wars? It's a reference. Another visitor from the 80s is the sprite from the Atari 2600 version of E.T. It screams pizza while shooting small eggs and pizza out of its face. Sometimes it's best not to ask what kind of narcotic was inhaled when a game like this was envisioned. But with the 80s theming, I think we can all make a solid guess. The unbeatable egg. Take an egg, take an oval, make it real big, make it invincible, now roll it through a city causing untold mayhem and havoc. I wish I could say something nice about this game. Perhaps its real-time destruction and deformation physics are a really cool feature, but besides that, you seriously are not doing much. It's pretty boring. Roll an oval, beat the whole game in under 3 minutes. Far from excellent. Excellent. Pago. Okay, hold on. Did they expect people to want to buy a game with an undulating chicken? This is a rhythm game that in no way incorporates rhythm. It's bottom of the barrel, like all the other games we just saw. How do you sell any of those to gamers who want stuff like, I don't know, Call of Duty?
$60? This game sucks. They screwed me. It's exactly the same game. Oh, God. $60? They did it to me again.
Oh no. Oh no. I have to add text. I have to add a text.
I could have bought food. Ouya.
So I can either bludgeon myself with my spine in a pool of my own vomit or play an Ouya? I'll take the spine. Unfortunately, I'm contractually obligated to play through more of this mess, so let's keep going. Sudden Death Soccer. Everybody else gets FIFA, Ouya gets this. No options, no flair, just pirates versus humans that have 3 holes punched out of their heads. Are they supposed to be aliens? The arena has been completely vacated, except for the lunatics on the field. The physics are poor at best, and the controls leave a lot to be desired. As tradition dictates, if a goal is scored in a match of sudden death pirate alien soccer, the ball explodes, hurling everyone's droopy corpse well into the stratosphere. It also happens if the time runs out. Best game so far. Those darn nipples. Someone screams the title of the game at you while peeking their microphone. Those darn nipples! Awesome start. The way this game works is you place nipples on breasts based off a hint given to you before the current breasts are on the screen. This is a functional game, which is more than I can say for Santa's World War. This game is titled Santa's War on Terror, but the thumbnail says differently. Regardless, both titles are missing the apostrophe at the end of Santa's between the A and the S. That's attention to detail that just begs the player to dive in, isn't it? You control Santas. He throws snowballs at soldiers carrying firearms. Santa's literally brought snowballs to a gunfight. You might not think this looks great. You're correct. But I actually have the game zoomed in. Here's how it really looks. Pull her out! Look at that headroom. There's enough real estate to be playing a better game up there.
jtoh,
These characters are so far away, I can't even tell what emotions they're supposed to be portraying. Are they angry at Santas? Does Santas enjoy offing people with snowballs? No one knows. If you lose, it jumps to a screen that says, submit. That actually sounds far scarier than it has any right to be. jtoh Racer. No track boundaries, terrible steering, and acceleration that goes from 0 to 10,000 in a second flat. I'd call this the most unfinished racing game I've ever played, but then I tried jtoh Racer 3D. I mean, it's the same game, but it's in 3D now. I think you can best describe the draw distance here with a confused shrug. I couldn't even begin to try and beat this, and I don't really think anyone else could either.
Zeus versus zombies. You play as the almighty Zeus, king of the Greek gods. Fling lightning from thine mighty hand, Nuru.
Så er det game on med Protex. Gør et hvert rum i huset til et projektor-arcade-spil. Udskift slides for at skifte mål, men hold fokus, for de
Ha! Heathens, dost thou think I can bestify? Oh, I blew up!
Alien Zombie Soul Hunter. Let's read the instructions. You are a green alien who has come to Earth to rescue the souls of the humans that were lost when the zombies took over.
Oh, I blew up!
Okay, well, even without instructions, I would have guessed that our character here is an alien, because he looks spaced the hell out. You go around shooting zombies and collecting purple cubes.
kill.
The purple cubes are the human souls you're meant to collect. The zombies run at you and have undefined attack ranges, so they seem to magically hurt you at random distances. The best part is, your goal is to save those purple soul boxes, right? But some of them are just floating in the air. You don't have a jump button. So long, souls, up there you're gonna stay. As you blast away the undead, you find rocket ship parts which you assemble to launch those amazing cubic human souls away for reprocessing. But the rocket ship doesn't even have a flame propelling it. That's some quality work right there. Quadroville. Don't look now, folks, but it's the same developers as the last game. The graphics and controls are near identical. The only difference in gameplay is that now you're hunting down bad guys instead of fantasy floating purple cubes. Can you imagine picking up the Ouya for the first time, booting it up, and excitedly downloading either of these FPS games because you happen to be a fan of first-person shooters? Well, I can, because I did. Ouya! This sure beats the hell out of Call of Duty.
Ouya!
Shady's Poupon. Someone took the time to make power-ups, original art assets, record a variety of sound effects, and make a functioning Pong clone.
Chili.
What they didn't do was properly scrub their toilet. They put more effort into coloring the turd paddles. Now, that game might seem real crappy, but this here may be the crappiest of them all. Massive Cleavage versus Zombies. It's a pun, and also, it's not. The story's pretty intricate, so please bear with us. You play as a blonde woman called Blondie. It's not explicitly said, but it's implied that this character suffers from some type of buttoning up phobia, as her blouse lies permanently drawn to the sides through the entire experience. Blondie starts the game searching for a special type of barbecue sauce. From there, she meets a charming carjacker with a unique face. Blondie goes on a whirlwind zombie chopping spree before beginning a relationship that may fan the flames of romance. Ooh la la. This game taught me something special with its use of the Ouya controller. QuickTime events that last a fraction of a second, which require the player to press face button symbols they aren't completely familiar with, is a nightmare. Contrastingly, the base gameplay is as simple as move near enemy and either attack low or high with your cleaver. Take on zombie dogs, zombie bankers, zombie muscle dudes, and housewives that show absolutely no signs of any physical ailment. Cool! Do it all again and again and again and again and again. My two favorite parts of this game were 1. When the game crashed and locked up the first time I attempted to play it, and 2. When the game told me that the Ouya controller could suffer input lag and that I should use a PlayStation 3 controller instead. You know what? I think we can stop right here, folks. A game developer who made a game for this console is telling us not to use the controller bundled with the console.
The most important part of this to us is the controller.
We really focus a lot on what gamers are looking for.
Wow. Saying that our time with Ouya has been a wild trip would be the understatement of the century. And Ouya, as a company, went on its own wild ride over its few years of service post-launch, from getting millions in investments to put its software in set-top boxes around the world to having its entire team and content library acquired by Razer in 2015. Even with its hardware discontinued in the acquisition, its software lived on well into 2019 before Razer finally pulled the plug on the storefront for good. And that about wraps up the compelling Ouya saga. This magical silver box was supposed to kickstart an indie games revolution. And well, they didn't. Half smartphone, half home console, all poor execution. Turns out gamers had plenty of better options when it came to gaming on their... whatchamacallit?
For television.
Right.
Looks like Amy's confused. Coconut.
Hurry. I have to take a break again. Let me have a day. back. 2-hour live stream. Also, I'm very bored now. I have to end the stream, so